Hey everyone, welcome to the Pre-algebra 7.5 video where we are talking all about percent of change. So percent of change is one of the most important lessons we can talk about kind of under the umbrella of percent. So relevant, I don't care, if you never use math in your job, which is highly unlikely in the first place, but even if you didn't, at home it's good to know, in daily life, how much things are increasing by, and year to year. Are your home expenses going up? And if so, by what percent? Are they increasing at the same percent that your income is increasing, right? So super applicable. So let's talk about percent of change, right? So we're talking about an increase or a decrease. And percent of change, whether it's an increase or a decrease, is always found by taking the amount of the increase or decrease and dividing that by the original amount. So let's walk through this one. In 2000, the population of the city of Austin was 656,562. The last numbers for the population in 2014 indicated that there are now 865,504 people living in the city of Austin. So that's not including Round Rock and Cedar Park and Dripping Springs and Bee Caves and all that good stuff, but just within city limits. And what we want to do is find the percent of change. Now remember, percent of change, okay, so percent of change is found by taking the amount of increase or decrease and dividing that by the original, okay, amount. So originally, well, what does that mean? Does that mean like back when Austin was first founded? No, it means, okay, you're looking at two numbers, right? Population for 2000, population for 2014, blah, blah, blah. I can't talk. 2014. So the original amount is going to be for 2000. And in 2000, how many were there? Well, 656,562. So I know the denominator is going to be that 656,562. But now, what's going to go on top? Well, when it's a percent of increase, because it is, because you're going from this number down to, or up to this number, we're going to take the larger number minus the smaller. It's always going to be the larger minus the smaller. So we're going to take 865,504 and subtract 656,562. All right, and so you get 800 and let's see, 865,504 minus 656,562, and you get this 208,942. And so that number is going to go right there. So I'll just rewrite it, 208,942. And then what do? Well, we're going to take that number and divide it by our original amount, which was 656,562. Oh, I wrote that wrong. Should be 562. And when you do that, here's what you get. 3.318236511. Okay, so we are looking for the percent of change. This is a decimal, but we're going to need to turn it into a percent. How do we do that? Move the decimal 2 places to the right, and I'm going to round to the nearest percent. You get 31.823%, and we're going to round to the nearest whole, so we're going to round because that is an 8. The one's going to go up, 32%. Okay, and is that an increase or a decrease? It's an increase of 32%. All right, so why don't you pause the video and try this one on your own. I'll see how you do, and then we'll keep on moving. All right, so Johnny had 2 million brain cells before performing a stunt. After the stunt, he only had 1,500,000. What's the percent of change? Well, it's obviously going to be a percent of decrease, okay? And so let's see, we're going to take the percent of change is found by taking the amount of increase or decrease. Well, let's see, he's going from 2 million to 1,500,000, so it's a decrease of how much? It's going to be a decrease of 500,000 brain cells divided by the original. He started with 2 million, and there you go, and then we just divide. 500,000 divided by 2 million is going to get you 0.25, and we're going to change that to a percent, and it's going to be 25% decrease. All right, so this is a kind of a variation on what we've been doing, but I think you can do it. So why don't you pause the video and try this one and see how you do. All right, so the estimated revenue impact of South by Southwest in 2012 was 109,300,000, and that should have been, oh, I'm so sorry. Well, we'll just leave it like that. That's actually should be a 0 right there, but it's fine. That figure increased by about 14.5% for 2013. And so what we want to know is what the estimated revenue impact was for the year 2013, last year's festival. The revenue impact is basically an estimation of, okay, how much money came into the city because of South by Southwest. So that's estimated, revenue that restaurants made on food, hotels made on booking rooms, taxis and pedicabs and blah, 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 right? The list goes on and on and on. So let's see. It was, in 2012, $109,300,300. And it increased by 14.5% for 2013. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this number for 2012, and we're going to multiply that by, well, it increased by about 14.5%. So we're going to multiply it by 14.5%, but of course we know 14.5% as a decimal is 0.145, okay? So when you take 109,300,300 times 0.145, you get, hopefully, 158485435, 0.5, I'm sorry, right there, okay, which is, let's see, 15,848,535.50. And then what you're going to do is say, well, okay, this is the amount that it increased, okay, from 2012. So what we need to do is now add this back to the amount that was made in 2012, that $109,300,300, okay, and that'll tell us how much was estimated, how much revenue that South by brought in 2013. So add that to 109, 300, and you end up getting 125148843.5. 123, and there you go. That should be your answer right there. $125,148,843.50. That is the estimated revenue impact for 2013. Now, let's check our work. We know that it increased, okay, from 2012 to 2013. So the number in 2012, the revenue for 2012, probably should be less than this, right? And if we look, 109 million approximately, compared with 125 million, yeah, it definitely increased, so that's good. All right, so one last thing that I think is probably really important is just working on percent estimations. We can make kind of quick, snap kind of predictions about things. So, for example, last year you ate 1,200 Oreos, and this year you plan to cut your Oreo consumption by 30%. About how many Oreos will you eat this year? So, first of all, we need to know, okay, you're going to cut your Oreo consumption by 30%. Well, how much is 30%? Well, it's 30% of 1,200. So what's a quick way of finding that? Well, to find 30% of 1,200, okay, since 30 can be reached by multiplying 10 times 3, let's figure out what 10% of 1,200 is, and then we'll just multiply it by 3. And an easy way to find 10% of any number is to take the decimal and move it to the left. So we know that 10% of 1,200 is 120. But we need 30%, so all we do is we take 120 times 3, right, which would be like 100 times 3, which is 300, plus 20 times 3, which is 60, so you end up getting 360. So that's how much you're cutting your Oreo consumption by, and then the last thing we would have to do is just take 1,200 minus 360, which would get you 840. So to keep rolling with that, maybe real quick, try and predict what is 15% of 400. Why don't you try that real quick and see if you can estimate it, and then play the video. All right, so if I'm going to estimate that, I'm going to say, well, 15% of 400. Well, I could easily find what 10% is, because 10% of 400 is like taking 400 and dividing it by 10, or moving that decimal one place to the left, and so you get 40, right? But we want 15%. So if 15%, well, that's like saying 10% plus 5%, right? So what's 5% of 400? Well, if 40 is 10%, then 5% is going to be half of 40, which is 20, right? And then you just add those up and you get 60. So what is 15% of 400? 60. All right, that's all I have for you guys. Look forward to seeing you in class.